Hello, welcome to a new moon reading, 12/12 portal new moon reading. I'm gonna just try to keep it, I'm gonna be talking a lot in a few videos that are coming up where I'm just sharing a little bit more and working through all of the messages and the information that I've been getting. This is not that video. This is just a reading for today and the energy that's going to bring us from today, the 12/12 portal, for the next 10 days to the winter solstice. If there was ever a time to be spiritually hygienic and diligent, now is that time. If there was ever a time to be like, yeah, I'm gonna go really, minimal and clean on all of my earthly tethers and vices and things, and for 10 days, I'm gonna commit myself to being a little bit more responsible with my inner dialogue, making sure I'm like consciously interrupting all of those really distracting, damaging thought patterns, nipping them in the bud right when I hear them or feel them. If there was ever a time to be very committed to that process, now is that time. No pressure. It's just a good time to be committed to your highest timeline, mentally, spiritually. How do you do that? You stay in the present moment and you accept things as they are, and you see things from the perspective that shows you a more connected overview of what is happening in the collective right now, therefore our own lives. I'm going to start with the Empath's Oracle. I haven't used this one in a while. Raven Digitalis is the name of the author. It's one of those oracle decks where I feel funny with it because there's not so many cards. There's not a big deck to shuffle with. There's only, I don't know, there's not 80 though. There's like 45 cards. 40 card deck, yeah. Just feels funny to shuffle with 40 cards, so. Oh, I guess I will just clear this up. There are so many things that I keep forgetting to mention, or things that I keep posting, and there's videos that I delete and then can't remember what actually made it onto the channel or not. But I posted a link to the community page of that art piece. It's a robotic arm that scoops that fluid, hydraulic fluid, towards it. Excuse me. And it's like it's an art piece. But it's interesting because it was on its own timetable, and the robot was programmed to know that it would shut down if it didn't have that fluid. And so its whole life, it was programmed to scoop the fluid back to it so it could continue to operate, but it was doomed to shut down, basically. It's just this very poignant illustration of how when you think that with your free will you only have a certain amount of choices, then you're not going to be able to exercise your free will in a different way. I think it says a lot about the capitalist prisons in the world right now. But yeah, I'm being called to post a lot more tracks and meditations, videos, exercises, things that people can listen to. They don't have to do anything at all mentally, and they'll just benefit from listening to it because of the energy transmission of it all. That's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. It's something that I do. I record things, but then I don't get the call to post them for whatever reason. I think it's just because I'm warming up for the past year. I've been warming up on meditations and all sorts of stuff. Light language can be delivered in a number of ways, and I tend to do it. There's a reason why I'm so gestural when I speak. It helps to communicate, and then it can kind of be taken to the next level if what you're communicating is light language transmissions as well. It can be verbal, or it can be kind of a synthesis, but I'll get to that. I'm just saying that because I will be doing more of those in 2024. Okay, 2 cards from the top of the Empath's Oracle, and then we're going to take 2 from the bottom of the Starseed Oracle, and then I'm going to do just a normal spread. Alchemizing confusion into clarity, number 5. We're going to read from both of them. This one says offering my gifts, number 12. Beautiful. Seas of Mintaka, one of my favorite cards. It's not going to focus on it. Seeing potential, bringing unconsciousness to light. This one says fall into my arms, surrender, holding the opposites. Extremes of life. Okay. Essential themes: choosing to see life more objectively than subjectively, analyzing what is real versus what may be a product of overthinking, accepting that we do not need to know all the answers immediately. This card's painting displays a person who is in desperate need of clarity. The image is both beautiful and warped, indicating a bridge between the damaged and the stable. Mental health comes into play with this card. The brightly shining eye symbolizes the inner struggle to invoke order during times of confusion and to realign our thoughts into a tidied up structure. Interesting. In some readings, this may indicate an urgent need to transform your mental state. If this card comes up, please consider talking to a therapist, psychiatrist, or trusted friend. Consider the necessity of self-care as a way to combat emotional burnout. This card may also indicate a need to reconsider social situations and relationships. What is mutually beneficial and what is draining? We've all been there, despondent, anxious, on edge, panicked, and utterly confused about what the heck is going on. For empaths, this panic state is often the result of emotional overload that results from the interplay of external emotional energies mixing with our inner emotional perceptions. We all deserve to be safe, happy, and healthy. It's ridiculously easy to give into the mind's hamster wheel of self-sabotaging thinking, to become fixated on the drama of everyday life, to feel like we are perpetual victims of circumstance. But we are not. Everything is a process. Our problem-solving brains may trick us into believing the worst about ourselves and others, but this is ultimately our brains tricking us into inaccurate conclusions. Alchemizing feelings of confusion into clarity takes some amount of humility. Bringing awareness to the emotions this card evokes, we are called to remember that confusion is a temporary state. We cannot become attached to any experience. This card reminds us that we may not have had every piece of the puzzle, but it reminds us to look before we leap and think before we speak. We don't need to know all the answers right away, and it's folly to think that we have all the answers or can fix everything. Before examining any situation or any other person, we must examine ourselves from the most objective viewpoint possible. Breathe, meditate, write things down, take a step back, and remember that we are not our minds. It is from this point that we can calm the mental storm and enter a state of realistic problem solving. The process of creating a list of issues and potential solutions can go a long way in drawing emotional energy from the body and into a more approachable, tangible form. Yeah. I'm going to talk about it as it feels like a collective energy. I think for a couple weeks now, I've been talking about this being a little bit of a tense time, and being able to just really clearly see, at least empathic people and sensitive people, I think, can see how different people are within like the gradients of consciousness right now. And it can be overwhelming, even if you are kind of sticking to your own stuff and staying in a wise mind and observing things as they happen. It can still be overwhelming to be around people who are not managing their emotions as well. I think the collective is alchemizing confusion into clarity. There's a lot of inclination to control things when a group or a party or an individual becomes aware of the fact that there's confusion, right? Because with couplets, it births the immediate need for clarity, confusion, clarity, problem, solution. It's one of those things that gives way to the need for something else because we immediately perceive it as being wrong or problematic. But if you think about what was going through my mind when I was reading the definition for this card, I was seeing we had this kind of omnipresent vantage point into a group of people doing an escape room, but it was the collective at this point in time. Give it a break. Stop that. No, leave it. And we could see everybody on Earth trying to find the solution, you could say right now. And it's like, from the onlooker's point of view, that's when it gets most exciting, when they need to be able to do something in order to figure something out. If you're in the situation, or if you're like watching a movie, when they get confused and they don't know what's going to happen, that's when it's the best. That's when it's the most interesting to watch. Because it couples up with the implication that there's going to be a solution. When we're in our own lives, we don't see it like that. It's like the main character stuff. We don't see it that way because what's more pressing and palpable and tangible is the fact that we're in that very weighted, pressurized container of being the one that has to sort something out or alchemize that confusion into clarity. I'm going to read from this one, but I'm already getting cards that are coming up into my mind. We'll see if they actually come out. So just to talk about that message more. Offering my gifts, number 12. Essential themes: exploring different methods to share empathic gifts, bringing to mind the reason behind our strong levels of empathy, ensuring that we are balanced enough to provide accurate healing. This image is an invitation to share our experiences and individuality and learn from each other. The woman in this intricate painting is looking directly at the viewer. With a slight and confident smile, a feeling of trust can be experienced. Mystical shapes weave throughout the piece, beckoning the viewer into a world of healing. There are times when our empathic abilities are so overwhelming that it feels like a curse. This is a natural and normal thought to have. In reality, however, the times when we are empathically overloaded are times of great teaching. It is a fear-based response to hold on to the idea that high amounts of empathy are a bad thing. Many strong empaths attempt to shut off the ability by becoming embittered, pessimistic, and negative. Others drown their sorrows in addictive behaviors. However, as much as we try to anesthetize the empathic experience, it isn't going away. It's part of who we are. This card encourages a changing of perspective. Why do you demonstrate such high levels of empathy? It has a purpose. In fact, it has a very sacred purpose. Imagine if, or I should say when, the whole world utilizes empathy all day, every day. What a beautiful place to call home. While it can be dreadfully overwhelming at times, we empaths have an incredible gift. Our purpose is to help change the world and make it a better place. This echoes throughout time. The thing about empathy is that true empathy requires a compassionate response to the other party. It's not enough to simply experience and absorb the other party's emotional state of being. We must respond compassionately and kindly so that we can not only extract that energy from our own spheres, but create something light, gentle, and healing for the other party. This is empathic healing. Empaths have a goal of helping others step into their higher purpose. We have unique abilities that focus on genuinely helping others. This can never be done for the sake of the ego. It is natural to feel accomplished and proud of ourselves when we successfully assist in healing or providing insight for others in our lives. But this is something to be celebrated. But we absolutely cannot exercise our gifts for the sake of social approval, and it's important to admit either when we are wrong about something or if we don't know the answer to something. When we are balanced within ourselves, we can use our abilities through countless mediums to help others in need. Everyone has a different medium or platforms by which to deliver and gift our helpful messages. This is how empaths assist in the emotional evolution of humanity. This card urges us to find our unique expression of empathic healing. Empathic healing is not any one thing, which is why it's deeply enriching to research, experiment, and finally discover ways by which we can offer our gifts with accuracy and enjoyment. We all have an opportunity in life to follow our passions. so we can compassionately assist those in need, whether plant, animal, mineral, or all of the above. It is important to remember that it is a good thing to receive some sort of reciprocity when delivering your services. In a professional setting, money or trades are one way of creating reciprocity. Unless deemed a spiritual emergency, if you have a client, they should not approach a professional healer empty-handed, but should come to a place that is sustainable for both parties. Yeah, something I was talking about the other day, I feel as if a lot of people are entering this space where they are they're very empathic, or they have been somewhat sensitive for a long time, and they're opening up a lot energetically right now. Except it's like, it's just resulting in overwhelm because there's not that next layer of being able to do anything with that energy that they're taking on all of a sudden in greater quantities from the people around them. And the commentary around like doing things for social approval is interesting too. And making sure that we remember that, like, if you zoom out and see one very sensitive person around a bunch of, angry, chattery people, and they're doing a lot of collective transmutation for those people, in some ways it's just a civic duty. It's just this anonymous thing I find myself doing doing energy work and balancing energies in a lot of places. Not for any, it goes unnoticed. It's for me. It's so that I can feel comfortable in that space, and it naturally benefits the people around me. But it's like, it makes me think as well of being a child. If you're a girl, maybe you'll remember what this was like in like early school, grade school, middle school, something with the boys, because boys develop slower, or they need help, or they should be allowed to look on to your paper or whatever it is. I just remember being told like, oh, well, they learn differently. So just, be the bigger person. Like young memories, 10, 11, 12, that point where girls are like starting to hit puberty and growing up really, and boys are very much boys still. It's kind of like that. Like if you're a sensitive person, it's like, just be the bigger person and lead by example. There's an incredible nonverbal demonstration happening with sensitive people right now, where just being able to, in a way that doesn't need affirmation or word, stay in this objective space with the same amount of love that you need to draw boundaries and be like, nope, I can't do that. Do the things that you can do when you can do them. And you don't expect anything in return. Of course, it's talking about in a professional capacity, needing reciprocity. You can't just, I would love to just paint all the pictures and not charge anybody anything, and do all of the healing and not charge anybody anything. That would be better for me, because I'm still grappling with like how to monetize certain things and which ones to do that with. And my whole approach is like, I throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and I see what sticks. And I think in today's society, we are like, we put a lot of limits on ourselves from being able to just play with and experiment with different ways of offering ourselves and refining that. Like if you're moved to start playing around with cards and start a YouTube channel, you should do that. I can tell you from experience that it doesn't matter if there's only a couple people watching it on a regular basis. It's still highly beneficial for me to move my energy and share my messaging in this way. And then it gave birth to all these other little avenues that I'm playing around with, Maybe one day it won't be the YouTube channel and I'll just be on the website. Maybe the website won't work out and I'll just do the YouTube channel. From the outside, if we think that those things, when they don't go the way that we thought, are failures, then we're never going to be able to get to anything else. There's just a lot of working through by taking baby steps and trying different things out. What is the best real world answer to our internal shifts right now? Regardless of who you are or what you're going through, the definite is that there will be some outer world change to meet the inner world changes right now. So I'm going to read from the Seas of Mintaka. Mintaka is thought to have been a water-based planet containing the most crystal clear waters you could ever imagine. So clear that you could see for miles and miles underwater. The Seas of Mintaka card represents this crystalline clarity of potential and possibility. It's about the ability and choice to see the potential in all people and situations. This could be one of your natural traits, or it could be a sign that what you're currently doing has great potential. Mintakans are thought to have been a galactic race who saw the light in everything and everyone. You may have received this card as confirmation that a situation or project has extreme potential and will reach fruition. If it appears in a spread, it's a very positive sign that things are working out for the highest potential of all involved. It's a very uplifting, light-filled card that brings great harmony, contentment, and positive outcomes. According to Carl Jung, that which we do not bring to consciousness appears in our life as fate. This is true. When water appears in dreams and art, it often represents the unconscious mind. Pulling this card also means you may be called to bring light to any unconscious patterns of which you're unaware. To look at them and see them clearly and consciously so they don't appear in your life as fate. What unconscious patterns or behaviors are ready to be brought to the light of day? I think they go pretty well hand in hand. Alchemizing confusion into clarity. And then like I talk about this passage, it's a new moon. We're going to have a full moon by the end of this month around the solstice, which is just going to be, honestly, I'm seeing, it's a funny little animation. I'm seeing people on like the streets of New York with briefcases, everybody hubbub, commute, walking to work. We get closer and closer to the solstice. On December 21st, and it's like all of that, it's like it almost comes to a halt. Like people are trying to continue to, there's this big impasse. It's not an impasse though. It's really paradoxical energy. I keep feeling it, I keep seeing it, I keep saying it, and I keep feeling it on an individual level each and every day, where there are certain things that could feel like the crushing weight of the world. But the harder things get, the more they crack open and give way to more love, because it is a eventual place that we land when we're pushed and pressured, is breaking open and allowing for more acceptance eventually. Maybe we don't land there right away, but it's like I said before at the beginning of the reading, there's no better time if you were to be on your best behavior as far as like attitude, mindset, your own energy. Not forcing yourself to be all happy and kind or whatever if that's not the space you're in, but choosing to feel the quality of your body, mind, what comes to you when you're sitting alone, what's kind of rearing up in the anxious subconscious to be acknowledged, all of it. Continuing to walk on the lighter side of the dualistic battle right now that's going to highlight the potential and actually bring that unconsciousness to light, instead of spiraling somehow. I think this next card's going to help us understand that a little bit better. It's called Fall Into My Arms. It's really quite a beautiful visual. It's almost like a mother doing a baptism. And I've dreamt about Mintaka before. Being in that water, I had a pretty lengthy astral projection one time where I was in some magical world, but the dream, for me, they go from being dreams to astral projections when I know that I'm there for like weeks on end, weeks and weeks on end. And I got to meet the orcas. It was great. All right, fall into my arms. Surrender, holding the opposites, extremes of life. The Great Mother ushered you in when you took your first breath, and she'll be there when you draw your last. She knows how challenging life can be, that being human can be lonely and confusing, that the polarity and separation can be excruciating when your soul remembers the oneness of Source. But at the same time, it can be incredibly glorious and sweet. So often we see things as either good or bad. When things go well, we make it mean that we're being rewarded, and when things are bad, then perhaps we've done something wrong. However, we're all here to expand and grow, and it's through the extremes of life that we do exactly that. You're being invited to welcome the highs and the lows of the human experience, to let them initiate you more fully into life, the agony and the ecstasy, the beauty and the bitterness. This life is but a single breath in the inextinguishable existence of your experience as a soul. The Great Mother wants you to hand over your loneliness, worries, hurt, sorrow, fears, burdens, and doubts. to lay them on her altar, to fall fully into her arms, to remember that while these extremes are difficult, they can also be magnificent. The more wildly the pendulum of your life swings, the more truthfully you can say, I have truly lived. All right. Yeah, I think it's like, another thing is that if people are doing a lot of transmutation, or people getting really overwhelmed with other people's emotions, and then they're bitter about it, or they're blameful, or they're upset, you are upset with yourself for not knowing how to handle this new state of being, and it requires you to take time out. A lot of people, we have these very layered timelines within us, but we don't see them as being connected. And sometimes if one timeline, like your spiritual opening and your receptivity to messages or whatever your particular gifting is, that's opening, but you're not willing, on another timeline, you still want to every weekend go out and be with these people and do this. Those things might not be lining up anymore. And so you might be doing something that you've always done, agitated, irritated. And from all, accounts of the outside look of it, it may feel to you like everyone else is doing something different, but it all does come back to how you feel showing up in a space, and what you need to do as a result of that. Even if people are, really bothering you or something, it's like, well, it's your choice to continue to be around that. A lot of sensitive people are then like, okay, well, how can I fix it? How can I do this and that? And maybe that's an overextension of yourself right now. Okay. What's our current energy? Give me 4, please. I'm hearing 4. 4. That's 2. We've got the Hanged Man on top. 2 more. Current energy. Top and bottom. Short. Current energy. Hanged Man. Page of Wands. Page of Swords. Ace of Swords. Interesting. I don't know why I moved so far back, because now I have to lean in to show the cards, but I just wanted you to be able to see me shuffling. So 2 pages, right? We've got this curious page. This one always gives me that restless, curious Page of Swords, like out there whipping the sword around, ready to go, but no one else is ready to go yet. They come together to kind of offer us this crux between the mental readiness to go, the spiritual, like, what are you actually going to do when you get there? Do you actually know the steps of how to get there? Ace of Swords is saying, like, yes, I think that we do, but with the major arcana, it's like an umbrella that's sitting over all 3 of them, being like, not yet, my child. Why? Energy to embrace. And I'm going to give some more details about what this is actually pertaining to, because I've been reading, that's energy to embrace. I got 3 cards. That's energy to release. I've been reading in such a general way for so many months. And to be honest, that's my preference. I think it's harder to do. I think it's easier for us to speak more like specifically about relationships or career or whatever it is. Are you kidding me? These cards. So the energy to embrace. Oh my God. Wait, I need to finish that thought. It's important for me that I've been trying to read as generally as possible. That's all I needed to say, I guess. So we asked, why is the hangman kind of mother henning on these eggs, the page and the swords? Page of Wands, Page of Swords, Ace of Swords. Because of the Wheel of Fortune in the Tower and the energy to embrace position. I mean, they're mother henning on him. There's a cascade here, a cascade of intervention, you see? What else came out with the Wheel of Fortune in the Tower is the Two of Pentacles. So that is decisions, options, but it also gives me the weightlessness that I was talking about the other day in the reading that I posted, where it's like the leap of faith with the fool's foot. It's like a pendulum. We had that word pendulum come up in the Empath's Oracle or the Starseed, whatever I just read from. It was talking about the pendulum of life going back and forth, high highs and low lows. There's a weightlessness within this too, because it's not just this little like inhalation. It's not this little fluffy breath of air before we exhale. It's pretty loaded. There's a lot energetically that's being inhaled and exhaled right now under this Hanged Man energy. If this is what we're embracing, it's just bringing me back to this. Fall into my arms, surrender, holding the opposites, extremes of life. It's a time to employ just radical patience, radical acceptance. I'll just speak personally, like for me, I have a lot of little agitations. I don't even know how to put it into words. I'm like, I even had resistance against the fact that it was like 9:49. Like that time it felt like it should be like afternoon. I just got bothered. I can't even put it into words. I was like, ugh, like I don't want to, the order of my day, my activities, my sensitivities. It mini little trigger this morning for no reason. Like we're maybe more quick to agitate, but then with this paradoxical thing, it's like, but also quick to get like illumination or be able to release that. Let's get some clarity before I move on, because this is our energy to embrace. Again, we're surrendering into radical big changes that we are not in control of. We just need to let the divine pendulum keep swinging back around. What we do get to pick through that motion is what we attach to in terms of like, how accepting of this are we? How objective, as it said in that Alchemizing Confusion into Clarity card, accepting of being able to look at things from an objective state. If you don't try to go into that objective state where you're looking at your experience from the outside and then others, you can't move into a place of productive problem solving, because we might not have considered a true and honest encompassment of a situation. And when things start to crumble in the collective, people's egos are very sneaky. We can think that we're being really objective and scaled out, but there might be another level to scale out that wasn't previously available to us that we can go to see things from an even fairer point of view. Who knows? If this reading is for you, then it is for you and you'll resonate with it and it will make sense. But if this reading is not for you, then you already stopped watching. I know, like, I think I truly just stay off the analytics page, because it's crazy what it does to the way that I want to make videos. Like, I don't want anything to come in the way of me just being able to share my information and post it. But when I look at the analytics page and just see all the numbers and what it means, I'm like, what do I do with this information? And I don't want to do anything with this information. By that, I mean, most people who watch these videos do not watch the whole video, and that's fine. But I'm like, do I need to know this? Do they need to be better? Ugh. Let's get some clarity for this. We're clarifying the Wheel of Fortune, the Tower, and the Two of Pentacles in the Embrace position. 10 of Pentacles. What I'm getting intuitively is like, just keep having hope. Keep having hope about the fact that something more stable is going to come from this. But what if I cut the deck? That it is for our increased stability, but also that in times of deep upheaval that we can't control, if you can find some stability, maybe, yes, this is a Pentacles card, but maybe it doesn't come from the Pentacles in your life. Maybe you're conjuring some type of against all odds, against the logical mind. Not that you're being, completely delusional. You're conjuring something that gives you stability no matter what. To be able to do that is to become somewhat unfuckwithable, because then the stuff, no matter what it is down the line that strives or attempts or threatens to rock you out of your stasis, you'll already have this type of thing that you've cultivated during previously hard times to fall back on, even if it's just a mindset. But the first interpretation was, I do think that everything that's changing is still for the slingshot effect. Pull back a little bit to go forward a lot. And I said cut the deck, so let's do it. Yeah, we saw this the other day, just as far as if there is a lot of sorrow or fear and not being able to see things as they're going to shape up, or not being able to see a way out, then go from that 5 of Cups to taking a step back into 4 of Cups, which is more about just the contemplation and the meditation of the situation. And there's a difference. We have to remind ourselves there's a difference between 4 of Cups energy, if you were sitting there thinking. It's not a Swords card. Looking for answers. It's not 4 of Swords. 4 of Cups is about letting the answers come without seeking. What's our energy to release? Yeah, okay. All right. I mean, right off the bat, as far as trying to logic our way through something, 7 of Cups is kind of the antithesis of what I just said. If we're overwhelmed and you're waiting for answers to come, don't be sifting through them. That's only going to create more overwhelm right now. Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns, but if you continue to shine your beam of attention on each one, all you're doing is highlighting all these points of confusion, in a circular pass, and reminding yourself just how much you don't have the answers. It's not going to do a whole lot of good right now when we're supposed to be embracing an energy of surrender. The other thing I'm getting with that is that, like, if somebody were to say, I don't have enough time to take time out and surrender and this is going to go by a lot faster than I think we think right now. So that's going to obviously be manifested in everybody's life a different way. It could just be like a day and a half, take time out. 30 minutes, take time out. Time is going to be flying by, moving into this end of 2023, and then I'm seeing it's like a kickboard, those little foam kickboards from a swim lesson. If somebody ran into the water with one, they were running down the beach, and then they hit the beach and they can kind of go like, January is going to go like that. It's going to go where then there's like the white water, and then it just kind of, January is going to get off to a little bit of I think it always does. We know what that feels like. January feels like, it's like, okay, now what? And then by the end of January, it's like, oh, it's a new year. I'm not going to get too far ahead into that, especially because I'm going to do a really nice 2024 reading. The last week of December, I'm going to post that. So what else do we have in our release position? 9 of Pentacles, Page of Cups, 4 of Wands, 3 of Wands, and the 3 of Pentacles. So what I'm getting with all of this in a release position, what I just talked about was like trying to conjure some stability that's almost a figment of your imagination. You could have a bunch of paper receipts and pieces of evidence in your life for why there is stability there to rely on, but more likely is that there's a effort that you need to invest in cultivating that because there's no evidence of it. So we might be clinging to certain tangible evidence of stability right now that's not helping us as far as like rewriting things with other people. I think there's so many moving parts right now. Like, say there are certain alliances or partnerships or certain things that are not divinely supported for whatever reason. You, them, your higher goods both have you going in different directions. Two people consciously on earth might not see that right now. They might not understand that. There might be two people trying to be together, stay married. They're not meant to be. Who knows, you know? According to who knows? Maybe the way that they're developing would mean that they are both going to find further, higher, more embodied fulfillment with other people later, but they don't know that yet. It's like allowing for certain things to just be as they are, so that those uncrossed wires can start to sort us out onto the timelines that we might look at and be like, oh, I'm not going down that one. But why not? Because we don't see that in 6 months it looks like that, which is exactly what you're trying to manifest. Just here, you know, at the crosshairs, there's all of these, and it gives me this weird feeling too, like pentacles, pentacles, wands, wands, the whole thing with this swordsy thing. It's like we're trying to... It's like I added too many cards to this reading, so I'm just getting these like little like tracing paper is really flimsy. These little sheets of repetition that we don't even need to focus on right now. That's the energy of this reading. So I'm feeling it as I interact with the cards. But why? Yeah, and another duplicate just with like Page of Cups. If we are focusing on like, well, how are we going to fix it, move forward with the relationship? Do you see the Seven of Cups dropped away? This is in the release position. We had the other pages, Page of Wands and Page of Swords. They're of a different quality when it comes to page energy, beginner's mindset energy. They're of a different quality and they're in the embrace position. But the cups and these wands are also about kind of making sure that we're not attached to faulty like connective tissues. If we think that a journey, 3 of Wands into 4, 3, 4, both wands, it might not be have your cake and eat it too type stuff. It might not be that these certain things or these certain, I don't want to say groundwork or foundations, because whoever this message would reach, if you've been following along with the videos I'm posting or just other energy readers and people who post things, I don't think you'd be listening to this if you hadn't actually set and built, well, struck down old crumbly foundations and made a few new motions to reestablish a different kind of foundation. That's already been done. So it's not so much about entire foundational stuff, but it's more so about jumping the gun with like, it's almost like, I'm also seeing these cards as like fluff pieces, fluff guests at an event. If you didn't have enough head count, enough people to fill the space, they're like extras in a movie. It's almost like we want more details. We want more evidence of the forward motion. We're not comfy sitting in the level of development that has been developed. So there's this strange thing coming in where our minds are wanting to create more motion out of something that doesn't need to be moved, needs to be surrendered to. Hopefully you're following. I know I'm kind of all over the place, but it's a hard energy to translate. Give me a clarifier or a way to talk about what it is that I'm trying to talk about with the release position. Letting things happen, not scripting a reality in a limiting manner. That came out. Justice. You see, only one card came out to clarify, and it came out right away. It has to do with divine justice. All of those little, it's busy work energy. It's busy work energy. And it's the energy of frivolous time and energy vampires. This doesn't have to be people trying to suck your time and energy out of you. It could be the things that you're doing and focusing on within your mind that are not beneficial right now. Because justice is at play. I never get the call to do this, but let me actually just read from the book like I haven't done in a while. Justice is obviously Libra with the scales, the astrological correspondence. The Justice card reveals that an outcome will be determined from the decisions you have made. It is a reminder that future actions can be changed by the lessons you learn in the present. It is an indicator that a decision needs to be made. Truth, fairness, equality, and balance. Yeah, I mean, a decision needs to be made. We do have this Two of Pentacles in our embrace position, which indicates decision, or at least having choices. It's not just one pentacle in material start, it's 2 pentacles. But, I mean, Wheel of Fortune, Tower, a decision needs to be made, and it's taking shape. I think that it's almost like karmically, universally, we're not able to be like, oh, universe, you're making a decision. Let me just put my 2 cents in before you make this big grand decision. I'd like to submit my will and preference for this before you drop the, gavel, as it were. Oh, hi. I didn't know about you being here. Ow. We didn't have to do that. Good gracious. All right, well, now Scram. She really just clawed me. It gives me this energy around like kids who didn't know that there was a prize, and then they found out there was going to be a prize, so they started acting real good and almost sneaky. Look, I cut the deck. It's Empress energy. This has to do with integrity too, okay? This has to do with spiritual integrity and knowing, like what I said before. Maybe there isn't, there's just a duty. There's just a duty spiritually to be a good person, not because it's going to exhaust you and it's like, why was I given this path where I have to help others? You want to do that. You helping yourself living your very best life will help others. It's not this big burden at all. And if you feel that way about what it is that you can do, it just means that you are still learning about your own boundaries, because when you're exercising your gifts, whether or not they're spiritual and psychic, or if they're creative, or if they're healing in nature, or whatever your gifts are, if you resent anybody from making you feel bogged down for having those, then that's still a part of your journey that you're ironing out with, like the proper stewardship of your gifts and being able to manage and use them. But it's almost like we need to remember that, like, in this like buzzer beater type fashion of like, could I just put some information into the cosmic judgment of what is happening right now? You do every day. You do every moment. This is what I was talking about with cultivating this sensation of feeling stable. I'm also seeing a prisoner in a jail cell for a very long time, having nothing to do but think things over and realize things. And the journey that person goes on, if they're not slipping into madness and solitary confinement, is something of a liberation journey, because they're going to go through passages of feeling doomed, but then in that doom, they're going to be set free into acceptance. And then there's these passages, and we're going through almost all of them right now. There's this culmination that I keep talking about. I'm going to get one more card. I'm going to get 2 more. Okay, what's the biggest advice? No. Yes. No. What's the hidden energy? Hidden, biggest obstacle, and advice to obstacle. So we're going to start with hidden. Hidden energy. I mean, I literally just said judgment, okay? And the 5 of Cups, we already talked about this. I said what we need to do is remember that when we get into that really down energy, it's asking us to take a step back. Hidden energy. Also, okay, if we don't like what we're experiencing, which we often don't, or at least it's not hard to come up with ways where the situation could be better. Like, it's easy to think about how our present situation could be better, you know? And when things are going really poorly, it doesn't feel that useful to be like, I mean, it could be worse. I hear somebody just like laughing sarcastically and being like, okay, how? You know, let's not do that with ourselves, because that's the type of energy that's going to take the low lower. Yeah, clarify hidden energy, judgment, and 5 of Cups. Yeah, I mean, the person who's in this situation, who's experiencing, negative karma, if you want to call it that, or just whatever effect from the cause that's been lived and traveled, it's making you feel low. I asked for the clarifier and I got 6 of Wands, victory. True failure only comes down to, not learning, not integrating, and just being in denial. So as long as there is some form of acceptance, even within the hardest things right now, it's going to release you quicker than it would. Anything negative that's taking you down is it's more than willing to keep you in that state, but you have to give your consent in order to be kept there in the darkness. You always have the chance to get out of it if you're willing to learn the lessons that it has to show you. Biggest obstacle? Wow. It's the 2 of Cups. Clarify it. It's the King of Swords. Okay, so I think that there's something. Yeah, cups, swords. There was some energy like this in the other part with me talking about the difference between cups and kind of how it's getting in the energy to release. It's getting all if you churn, you're making butter and you do it too much and it turns too churned. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Something about the emotional energy is like too churned through right now. There's an obstacle within that because we've made so much progress within our own emotional spaces and emotional clarity and done a lot of hard things emotionally, and all of it is supposed to bring us back into balance. Again, with the Justice card, Libra, the scales. 2 of Cups is about balance. It could be within the self, but it could be within the partnership that you aspire to. Be 1 cup. 1 of 2 cups within. There's a tension right now, if this is our biggest obstacle, within the fact that King of Swords likes to be decisive, makes decisions, and then is pretty certain about what that decision is, and on top of that, communicates that decision. Swords. And does so without being apologetic or necessarily looking back, because the amount of information that he would need to have in order to feel safe and decisive, in order to feel like he looks, that's already been gathered. It's already been had. But these are kind of different, really. I mean, it's very interesting to me that we do have like symmetry and we've got yellow and purple. Just there are parallels between what's going on here, but they're different energies in general. They're very different. I'm going to cut the deck to get a clarifier. It's the 10 of Pentacles. So I didn't even realize that I put the 10 of Pentacles back, but I guess I did. And the Chariot at the bottom of the deck. Okay. So yeah, it's like there's this mismatched, what I was talking about before with in our growth, in our development, how that can be private, but then how that can reflect in our outer worlds where there's people involved or different projects, or it's very hard to articulate our inner growth. I know I talk about these things and we just kind of feel like, I'm just as I am, right? Now, maybe you can identify like, well, yeah, I've got that whole thing going on or this whole thing. But really, without the outer world to reflect what's going on inside of us, it's kind of hard to tell what's even happening inside of us unless we start to kind of parse through these things. And so it's like there are these separate circuits of growth. They're outside of us, they're inside of us, and they're moving at different speeds. And it's creating this weird tension where it's asking us to be very tolerant. Again, I'm seeing it like we have this invisible vantage point, like Harry going into the pensieve as an onlooker. What we see when we get to our most, not stressed, but pressed, we're pressed to be able to come up with new answers, new ways of being, new ways of feeling, respond differently than we have before, that's when we as an onlooker would be like, oh, look at him go. Look at her, she's doing it. The spirit guides are like, you can do it differently. Even though there are these kind of opposing things happening within us, have you never held all of this within you at the same time before? Don't be afraid. You can. You won't burst. You'll expand. And like it talked about, the being empathic or being spiritually sensually, that's not what I meant to say, sensitive, it's a gift. It's a sacred gift. It's a beautiful sacred gift that you can possess and allow to brighten up your life. It's not something, it does make life slightly more complicated, but only until you move more like water with that ability. Like it's defined for you, and I'm seeing a car, I'm seeing some type of craft, spaceship, car, ship, whatever you want, but there's a motherboard, and instead of being like, ugh, I feel this way, it's because I didn't empty my, navigating all these complicated buttons. I didn't take my time out. I spent a little bit too much time doing this. I didn't get outside in earth. I haven't seen the sunlight in 5 days. It's just more of this intuitive, navigable thing where I'm seeing us. You don't even have to look down. We're just turning the dials, doing the buttons. There's this beautiful acclimation that enables us to see hypersensitivity in this very harsh, overstimulating world as a very big asset. If you feel like you're a sensitive person who does not feel like their sensitivity is yet an asset, then please email me. Or we can do a session in January if you're interested in that, to be more specific to what it is that you are going through. I'd like a clarifier for the biggest obstacle being the King of Swords and the Two of Cups. I saw the Ten of Pentacles, which just kind of rounded out that interpretation around the fact that there's a lot of coexisting circuits coming full circle. Queen of Wands, King of Swords, Two of Cups, Queen of Wands. Yeah, it's our multidimensionality. It's being able to not feel untethered and bipolar, but rove between these different methods of being and expressing the self, and know that you still have that inner tether. You've just expanded and you're able to embody different parts of yourself as the situations call for them. Okay, now what's the advice for this? Biggest advice right now. Strength. What's at the bottom? Yeah. Strength and hard work and dedication. Staying in the moment, staying in the flow. Keep in mind that hard work and dedication is just as well applied to the hard work of noticing that you need a break. Hard work and dedication, Seven of Pentacles energy, showing up to your own healing, showing up to your own personal indicators that let you know that you are reaching kind of like a maxed out point where you don't want to, say things that you will regret, or say things that are more so a projection of what you're dealing with and they're not really a fair assessment of what's going on. Okay, I hope everybody's doing well. And as far as the other stuff I'm working on right now, I have decided that what I've been calling the Barbie breakdown, the American Dream breakdown video, all of that, they're not really going to be videos at all. They will be, but they're going to be like a few different videos, and there's going to be screen grabs and different things. They're basically going to be websites that I make and have up for like a certain amount of time, and then I'll take them down eventually, but just like walkthroughs. So it'd be like a website where you can scroll through it and then like play a video and like look at a picture and like keep scrolling. I'm just experimenting with different ways of expressing my thoughts and my findings. So There's going to be like way too much censorable, flaggable information in those videos to put it on YouTube. So I'm not even going to bother. Not even going to bother, because I keep doing things that are threatening to get my page just like cast out and blocked, and that makes me sad, and I'm sick of trying to navigate it. So if you cared, if you were waiting for me to do that, just know that I'll post about it when I've done it, but it's not going to live here. It's going to live at wordsmithoftheempyreal.com, which is my domain and my site, so I should be allowed to post more freely there. Here's my selenite. Let me just do a clearing for everybody. I hope that reading was helpful. I myself am still kind of working through a lot of scatterbrained things. And I'll come back on to do another reading before the solstice, probably several. But as always, just email me if you're curious about anything or have any questions. And I'm sending love to everybody. Okay, be well.